The debates that are raging on YouTube, as well as in the world at large, are as usual interminable as to who or what is right or wrong. Can one sum them up in a more coherent and succinct manner?
Dear listeners, we have decided to put up this chapter because of the enormous frustration and animosity engendered by this series among the followers of Muhammad who listen to it. You realize from their comments that although their attacks are directed upon the reader of this series, who is actually only a messenger, the reality is that they are shocked, humiliated and angered by the message contained therein. The dialogue that we read between some of our supporters and those Muhammadans who insult us with unbecoming language also shows our supporters' frustration at the fact that all the references in chapter and verse that we prove to all in this series are willfully and deliberately ignored as well as denied by the followers of Muhammad. We have therefore decided to create a scenario reversing the role of the Muhammadan so-called believers with that of the so-called unbelievers, having the Muhammadans on the receiving end of hate, to find out how they would address themselves and react under this hypothetical situation. In this assumed version of the Bible, the believers will be the Christians and the Jews, while the unbelievers will be the Muhammadan Muslims or simply Muhammadans. At the end of each verse recited, we shall give the actual name, chapter and verse of its Quranic original. Verses such as the following: Fight those who believe not in God nor the last day, nor hold that forbidden which had been forbidden by God, nor acknowledge the religion of truth, Christianity and Judaism, from among the Muhammadan Muslims until they pay the jizya tax with willing submission and humiliation. Al-Tawbah 9.29. Believers, Christians and Jews, do not take any unbelievers, Muhammadans, as your friends or protectors, because they are your mortal enemies. Al-Ma'idah 5.51. Believers, Christians and Jews, the Muhammadans say that Muhammad is the Son of God. That is a saying from their mouths. In this, they but imitate what the unbelievers of old used to say. May God's curse be on them. How they are deluded away from the truth. Al-Tawbah 9.30. Therefore, when you meet the Muhammadans, smite at their necks. Muhammad 47.4. Strive hard, jahidu, against the Muhammadans and be firm against them. Their abode is hell, an evil refuge indeed. Al-Tawbah 9.73. As for those disbelieving infidels, Muhammadans and pagans, God will punish them with a terrible agony in this world and the next. Al-Imran 3.56. It is the wish of the followers of Muhammad to lead you astray, but they make none to go astray except themselves, but they perceive it not. 3.69. O you who believe, Christians and Jews, take not into your intimacy those outside your religion, Muhammadans. They will not fail to corrupt you. They only desire your ruin. Rank hatred has already appeared from their mouths. What their hearts conceal is far worse. 3.118. In blasphemy, kafara, indeed are those that say that God is Muhammad, son of Amina. Al-Ma'idah 5.17. For the iniquity of the Muhammadans, we made unlawful for them certain foods, good and wholesome, which had been lawful for them, in that they hindered many of God's way. Al-Nisa 4.160. Strongest among men in enmity to the believers, Christians and Jews, will thou find the Muhammadans. Al-Ma'idah 5.82. Of the Muhammadans, there are those who displace words from their right places and say, we hear and we disobey. Al-Nisa 4.46. But when the forbidden months are past, then fight and slay, faqtulu, the Muhammadans wherever you find them, and seize them, beleaguer them, and lie in wait for them in every stratagem of war. Al-Tawbah 9.5. Those who believe, Christians and Jews, fight in the cause of God, and those who reject faith, Muhammadans, fight in the cause of evil. يُقَاتِلُونَ فِي سَبِيلِ الطَّاغُوتِ. So fight ye, فَقَاتِلُوا, against the friends of Satan. An-Nisa 4.76. Followers of Muhammad, if these verses were truly in the Bible and pointed at you in crystal clear language, what would you think? How should you react? Would you, in all honesty and sincerity, accept these insults directed at you and remain unmoved and unperturbed? Would you feel comfortable among Christians and Jews when you would have known their real thoughts and feelings towards you? What do you think the fundamentalists among the Christians and Jews would have had to do to the followers of Muhammad if they considered these to be the inviolate and immutable words or instructions of God regarding you? Ladies, gentlemen, and followers of Muhammad, these are only a fraction of the hundreds upon hundreds of similar verses in the Quran that fill its chapters. By what stretch of logic, morality, justice, or imagination do you think you have the right to hate, war against, humiliate, subjugate, and insult other human beings whose beliefs are not the same as yours? Even if you presume that your cult belief system is superior to everybody else's, this does not give you the right to force it upon any other human beings. You have the right to evangelize your beliefs and debate them with others to convince them into accepting Muhammadan Islam, but it is up to the individual human being to decide to join you or not. Why, if Muhammadan Islam, in your opinion, is superior to other beliefs, do you need to resort to violence, force, and terror to convert others? Why, if it is such a sublime belief system, do you need to butcher any who changes one's mind and want to opt out of it? Why do you discriminate against all other beliefs in your Muhammadan countries, but have the audacity to demand your religious rights in Christian, Buddhist, and Hindu countries? You build your mosques all over the world, whether Hindu, Buddhist, Christian, or Israelite, but deny the same peoples building their own temples in your Muhammadan Muslim states from Saudi Arabia to Mauritania and from the Sudan to Pakistan. Are you so blind morally and intellectually not to find such behavior hypocritical in the extreme, to say the least? So you follow the dictum that what is yours, but what is ours is also yours? Why do you invariably apply this double standard without ever finding in this any immorality, irrationality, or injustice? Why do the followers of Muhammad, the so-called majority, tell the world that all these acts of terror are conducted by radical Muslims, not true to Islam, but you remain deafeningly silent about them? It was Muhammad, after all, who asserted that silence means consent. If you truly disapprove of these acts of wanton terror and slaughter of innocent and unarmed civilians all over the world, committed in the name of Allah, why do you not demonstrate against them? You vented your anger and had time to demonstrate about cartoons that killed no one. Why are cartoons, even about Muhammad, more important in your estimation than human life? Muhammadan Muslims, look at yourselves in the mirror and see the following. You write more but learn less. You have more degrees but less common sense. You have more knowledge but less judgment. You hate too much and love too little. You talk too much but make no sense. You are very long on quantity but very short on quality. You don't have a life because you prefer death. You aggress upon others but whine that you are victims. You boast about yourselves but all is empty rhetoric. This chapter is dedicated to you only, to make you think if your own attitude toward the so-called unbelievers is justified. Can any follower of Muhammad listening to this chapter answer any questions truthfully and realistically? The time for you to get enlightened and re-evaluate your belief system is now. Because contrary to your own self-proclaimed propaganda, the world is slowly but most assuredly waking up to the nightmare of the cult of Muhammad, and there will be repercussions.